Welcome to the Sowing Hope podcast. This is a show all about implanting hope in our hearts. I'm Bill Snyder, joined by my friend Ann DeSantis. We're glad you're here for our uplifting conversation about faith and how it sustains our hearts through all the seasons of life. Thanks for walking with us. And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Sowing Hope. I am Bill Snyder, and thank you so much for joining us here live on YouTube, on Podbean. Thank you for being with us. We are so blessed to have you here this morning with us, and as always, I am joined by my friend and co-host, Ann DeSantis. So good morning, Ann, and welcome to Sowing Hope, and thanks for being here. And why don't you introduce our guest, because we got another great one today.
We do. And good morning, everyone. Good to be here during this time that we're all sort of in isolation, but doesn't mean that we can't have some kind of community right here on Sowing Hope and other platforms, on podcasts and on social media. So it's just great that we can still continue in this way. And as you said, yeah, we have an awesome guest today. I'm happy to introduce to you Mike Provenzano. He is a voiceover actor, model, and actor from the greater Philadelphia area. So, Mike, welcome.
Hi, Ann. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys allowing me to be part of your show.
Yes. Now, Mike and I can't even say exactly where we met for the first time, but it might have been through our friend Rich Hinkles, who's also an actor in the Philadelphia area. But I wondered if you could just take us on your own personal journey, with basically, how did you get involved in this business?
Well, yep, it definitely was through Rich Hinkles, because he had interviewed with you previously, and then about 6 months later, I interviewed with you as well. But my journey to the acting business has been kind of a fun one, but a weird one at the same time. And so I was in the corporate world for most of my career, and I'd say about a little less than probably, I guess 4 years ago now, I was in, it's time to do something new. Or about 5 years ago, it was time to do something new. And then 4 years ago, I was working for a construction company, and one of the guys that was there was an acting instructor at a school local here to me. And when I was getting ready to leave the company, he's like, "Hey, you should check it out." And I won't say what I said, but I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he's like, No, for real." So I went to an open call with about 50 people. And at the end of the night, the director looked around and said, "We're going to invite 4 of you to our school." And I made the cut. So I was lucky to be
That's
one.
awesome.
And so I went through the school, got signed in the Philly market pretty quickly. Actually, the day I graduated was the day I signed with them. They wanted to sign prior, but they have a rule that they can't. So, but it was pretty cool to sign with somebody right away. And that kind of sparked things. And it was weird where you never know where this journey takes you. And I started out modeling. My first job was a modeling job. And then I started doing some background work, which most actors will do to get some experience on set and just kind of understand how the business goes and how a shoot actually takes place. And then I started to I went crazy self-submitting to opportunities. And that's the one thing that I've learned over time, is that a lot of people don't do that. Once they sign with an agency, they think it's agency is going to do all the work, and they're going to find you all the opportunities, and you're going to be good to go, which is not the case. And by self-submitting, I ended up doing all types of work, from infomercials to commercials to print ads to voiceover stuff. And some of it was on my own, some of it was through agencies. And then I built up my agency list over time at the same time. And, here I am today. And it's, I say this all the time, but I feel blessed that I get to do this, and that people actually say, "Yes, we want to hire you," or bring you in for an audition. I just, I really feel blessed that I have that opportunity. And I can tell you that when I first got into this, I was told by a couple people, it's like, hey, you're competing against guys that have been doing this for 30 years. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. you know,
You got a good attitude. I mean,
yeah,
that's
it's a
the
bit,
first thing I noticed. And for people who are listening, Mike was a guest on my TV show with RVN TV. It's called The Positive Side. And RVN TV is an online TV network. And this show is about the good things people are doing. It's a little similar to Sowing Hope. Sowing Hope is the same premise, but we are a faith-based program. And I know that you're also a man of faith, Mike, and that means something to your life and everything that you do. Remembering that how you got where you are, and that God did have something to do with that. And I know that you honor that in your life. I wondered if you could take us on your early life journey, because to me, that is just impressive how God got you through some very difficult times in your early journey.
sure. Well, as a child, our family split up when I was about 5 years old, and so it was just my father was there to raise five kids, and so that's a struggle for a single father who was, God rest his soul, going through a nervous breakdown at the same time. So when we turned 9, two of my brothers and I went into a foster home in Southampton, Pennsylvania, called Bethana Home. And at the time, it was a home for boys and girls that um, didn't have a I guess a place to be from a family perspective. And it was a campus of about 40 acres. They had at the time, I think they had 4 houses with 40 kids. And so you don't see anything like that nowadays, but it was a Christian home. It was actually, my grandparents actually adopted us to allow us to actually stay there, which I don't think I've shared with anybody before, but
Mm.
that's okay. And we lived there for about 4 years, and we had ups and downs there. There's no doubt. It was interesting though that I think when we first moved there, I had a fight with my best friend. We
Yeah.
became best friends after the fight, but of course we had a fight, and it was interesting to because it was a Christian home. We went to church every week, and we had a prayer before every meal, and it was a good habit to form. I'll tell you a couple fast stories from that time. I remember one time basically we had house parents, and house parents were the people that had, a suite inside the house where their family lived, and you were in charge of the house. And one time we all sat down for dinner, and the phone rang, and we called him Uncle Bud. Uncle Bud and Aunt June were our house parents, and somebody was soliciting him for life insurance. So he hung up the phone and said, "No, thank you very much." Blah 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 blah. And literally within 30 seconds, lightning literally came in the house, struck a fire extinguisher, and went back out of the house. It was the eeriest thing we've ever experienced.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so that
How
was
can you forget that story? I
never,
mean,
never will.
that.
You can't forget lightning strikes. There's no doubt.
No, no,
Um,
no.
the other funny thing was, I don't call it funny, but we all had every 2 weeks we were evaluated for how we were, I guess, acting as kids, right? And we're
Hmm.
9, 10, 12. They had kids anywhere from, let's say, 5 years old to about 18. So everybody, your privileges were based on how well you behaved. And it was interesting to watch my brothers and I be so different. And while for me, I was typically on level 4, level 5, and 5's kind of the best you can be on. 1 is kind of the worst, and
Yeah.
you get more privileges the higher the level you're on. So it's interesting watching my twin brother be on level 1 or 2 all the time, and me being on 4 or 5 all the time.
Oh, okay. Is he your identical twin?
No, we don't look at it. You wouldn't even know we're
Fraternity.
brothers when you look at
Okay.
us.
Okay.
Um, but that, and I have friendships today that are still out there that I was friends with back then, and that was close to 40 years ago, or geez, I guess a little further. Yeah, I guess about 40 years ago, and I wouldn't change it for the world. They're the God put us there for a reason. He put us through the journeys we took. There were some challenging times that occurred there, but then there are some great times that we had, and it shapes who you are. And the cool thing about Facebook and all that stuff is that now I'm friends with more people from there, which is kind of cool that you would never think about, so it's been a really um, it's been a great life experience for me. Some people are like, well, how could you go through that and all that stuff? But I was a kid, and we all know that kids are resilient.
Yeah.
Kids can get through a whole lot. And, I was just a kid who went through what I went through. Just like, I don't think what I went through was hard compared to some of the things that other people go through by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, it sounded like, well, first of all, Mike, I just, I congratulate you for your good attitude, great attitude, and also your faith, and also the ability to look at other people's circumstance and say, well, there's people who haven't had it worse than I did. And
Mhm.
look at, and just the way things turned out for your life. I mean, it's just amazing to me to watch this. And how things in the last few years with you becoming more active in the acting world, and how things are really progressing for you, Mike, and the work that you've put in. So thank you for sharing that story. I know,
Yeah,
Bill,
it's
isn't it
definitely
just
powerful.
amazing
Yeah.
just to hear that?
It's incredibly powerful, and one of the things that leads me to ask the question is, did your faith form out of that, Mike? I mean, like, did you grow through your relationship with God through all those times too? I mean, you mentioned God, believe that He put you there, but I mean, how did that form your faith, as a kid and a teen, and growing up as a man?
Well, I can tell you as a kid before living at Bethana, there wasn't, once our family changed, and there's pieces that I've probably blocked out that I don't remember, but um, we, yeah, I don't remember going to church before that, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
I know my grandparents were very religious, but I don't think my father just had the energy because he was a bar manager for, if you guys might remember, might not remember the restaurant Seafood Shanty,
Yeah.
and
Yes, I
he
do.
ran all the bars for that chain. So, his schedule was not a 9 to 5.
No.
His schedule was nine to midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning. So a single dad, just taking care of kids is tough,
Right.
and so when he had off, he needed sleep, on top of just spending whatever time he could with his kids while while he was out of it, being tired. So when I went to Bethana, that started my faith, because we did go to church every week. We went this, we did the Sunday school experience and all that stuff
Mm.
as kids, and that, I think, that started my relationship with God. And then some of the fun stuff was we would go to a Christian camp for 2 weeks in the summertime, when we lived there,
Oh, wow.
and they were some of the funnest times I've ever had. And I look at it as, God puts us in positions that He knows that we can handle, and I truly believe that, to my core, that we all deal with good stuff, we all deal with bad stuff, we all deal with stuff in between, but what gets you through is your faith in God, and that's how I feel today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And here
awesome.
it's a perfect time to speak about it. It's Holy Week this week. Easter's on Sunday. We are all home. We will not be able to celebrate Easter at church,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that God isn't with us. It doesn't mean that we're not being provided for by church community and by Christ Himself, who knows what's happening. So thank you, Mike. Thanks for sharing that story with us.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
definitely a powerful one, and so yeah, I mean, I think we all come from different walks of life, which is an awesome thing when you don't realize the backstory in people's lives when you're, you know, standing 6 feet apart at the grocery store, but there's something about being, and sharing faith and just sharing your story. I often say that it's our stories are not meant for us, and they're meant for other people. And so, listening to you, Mike, just share your story and hear how powerful that story is. Um, that you overcame this, and that you had to live apart from family, and it just there's such a powerful part of that story that maybe listeners right now are resonating with. There are people resonating with this, that I always say the Holy Spirit makes divine appointments with listeners,
Yes,
to
he
tune in.
does.
And so, whether you're driving in your car, or you're listening at home, or whatever you're doing, um, you know if Mike is, his story is touching you, and it's prodding at you to maybe just connect with God, or connect with your family members, do so. And share your story, because our stories are not meant just for us, they're meant for the other people. God doesn't drag us through the muck for no purpose. He always makes something good. He always makes something good come out of the challenging situations in our lives. So just think about that, and figure out this week, especially during Holy Week, who you can share your story with, and who you can just call up and say, hey, this is important to me, and I think maybe you can relate, and maybe it's supposed to help you. So yeah, just think about that. I think it's such a powerful thing to share your story, and Mike, I know you do that, but you're doing that today, but you're also uh, doing it, on the stage too, sharing other people's stories, right? I mean, how many different other people's stories have you shared of hope and inspiration on the stage or on camera? I mean, that's so cool, right? To be able to think of acting as that way, sharing stories with the world.
Yep, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And that's the fun part of this career that I'm in, is acting is just, I don't look at it as work. I look at it as I just, I think God put me in this spot in this time of my life for a reason. It's something I wanted to do back in my 20s, but I definitely didn't have the confidence or the life experiences that I have now. And I think God knew back then that, hey, it's not the right time for you, and now is. And that's,
Mm.
I firmly believe that. But what I don't feel that I've overcome anything. I really feel that I just lived life, and that's the truth. I look at, what I've had to deal with is no different than, or no more special than anything anyone else had to live with, because we've all, as Anne, you said it earlier, there's a lot of people that have had to do and deal with a lot worse than I had to deal with, as a kid and as an adult and all that stuff. And I just, like I said, I just feel blessed that I'm still here today and able to contribute to society.
And you have, honestly, I mean, you're gifted. And I think your acting stories is really incredible as well, because you haven't really been involved in it for many, many years, but you've just soared ahead because of your perseverance. And I know you've shared with me that you didn't just sit around and kind of wait for things to happen in the acting world and the modeling world, that you actually did go out there and apply and put yourself in front of, to audition and apply on the different acting sites online and things like that. So I think that's a really good thing. It shows that your perseverance. And I wondered if you could share now. You shared something with me when you came on, the positive side, that you do have kind of a dream of something that you would like to do. And I thought you could share that with some of the people that are listening.
Sure. I didn't expect that one, but absolutely, I know where you're going. So, as an actor, and because I have a business background, I decided that I'm going to create goals for myself for the acting world. And so, about 2 years ago, I wrote down a bunch of goals, and then I created a pie in the sky goal. So, one of my goals is to be a principal actor on the Hallmark Channel. And I love their stories. I think I have a good look for it. I think I'm pretty close from a talent standpoint to be able to do what people do on that show, on those shows. And I've told that to a decent amount of people, but I've told it to some of my agents, and I've been submitted. So, whether anything comes from it or not, who knows? But that's one of my pie in the sky goals. If you set goals that are ground level, are you really challenging yourself, or you're really pushing yourself or stretching yourself
Yeah.
to become more?
Yeah.
I don't think so. But when you put stuff out there that's really, shoot for the stars, and if you hit the moon, great. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm going for it, full force. And as you said, Ann, you know, I've taken a business approach to this, and I've gone after what I want. You're right, in this business, and just like in any business, you can't just sit and wait around for something to occur, because that's not reality. But
Yes.
when you go after it, and this is a hard industry to go after because of the competition that's out there, because we're competing against a lot of people. I watched a Zoom meeting last week, and a casting director was talking about things that they go through, and there's times they'll see 500 headshots for one role. There's times they'll see 2,000 headshots for one role. So you can understand the competition that we face as actors, but imagine being the casting people who have to, sort through all of that and then pick 50 that they want to audition.
Yes.
So, I feel blessed that I get to audition, and I look at that as a win. If I get to audition, and the thing that a lot of people may or may not realize, that when you go and audition for a job or for an opportunity, um, the typically casting has a look and an idea of what they're going for, or what they want. And sometimes when they see it, they like, yep, that's who I want. um, Other times they say, you did great, but you're not exactly what we're looking for. But they keep you in the back of their mind for the future. So you're not just auditioning for today, you're auditioning for the future. And that's what occurs. And I've been lucky enough to book work based on, hey, you weren't right for this one, but you were right for the next one.
Yeah, that's amazing. It really is. I have experienced that too. Although I am also involved, as you know, Mike, in some modeling and acting. But for me, at this point in my life, my primary profession is with working for a Catholic foundation, and also doing the positive side and Sowing Hope podcast, which I'm so blessed to have met Bill Snyder and be here twice a week. So for those listening, just so they know, we're here Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. and Thursday evenings at 6 p.m., where we interview people who are doing wonderful things. And it is also a faith discussion too. So Mike, that it's just, as I said, amazing what you've done in a short time. I wondered if you could share a little bit also about things that you're working on right now. I know we talked a little bit about that. Now, although we're in a pandemic, there's still some things that are happening. I know that you've
The,
still been busy.
and I've been, like I said, I use the word blessed. Maybe I use it too often, but I feel blessed that I'm still doing stuff. And within the last 3 weeks, I did book 3 paying jobs, believe it or not. And 2 of them were spokesperson jobs, where it was just me and one other person, and I was speaking to it, with a teleprompter. So we practiced the social distancing very well. Another one was for surgical masks, a commercial for them, and they were both repeat clients that I worked with before. So that was great to just do that. Because it's weird when you're in a rhythm, or you feeling well, because you're booking routinely, and then all of a sudden it stops. So now, while we don't know what the future holds, and we don't know when this is going to come to a close, and when the world's going to get back to some new normal. But for now, people are doing stuff online. So I got lucky enough, or I got blessed enough to be part of a couple online things, actually. So last weekend, I did 2 projects, believe it or not. I was asked to do a 48-hour film festival turnaround, and that was an easy one. I was just talking to my computer, basically, and then somebody kind of put it together, which was kind of cool. That was fun. And basically, they had 48 hours to put a film together from start to finish. Had to write a script, and there were specific things you had to include to prove that it wasn't footage you had from previously. We had about 3 or 4 actors involved with it, and that was just a fun experience. Um, then the next one is a Instagram series, and that one is we just posted episode 2 last night. So it's a comedy, but it's about being quarantined right now, and so everybody that's involved with it is filming from their home, and it's similar to a Zoom meeting, but we're basically using Instagram to um, to do it, and it's been fun. I'd be honest with you, and people are enjoying it. And I kind of spread the word yesterday about episode 1, and I couldn't believe that it had about um, 600 hits yesterday, which
Yeah,
I
you
thought
were
was really cool.
mentioning.
Yeah, and that was a fun one. And then today, Rich and I are doing something different where we're I don't want to I don't want to share too much because
Hmm.
everybody will get to
Yeah.
see it. But we're doing a Zoom meeting with about 7 of us total. That's doing something else. So the cool thing is that while we're all cooped up in our homes and doing what we need to do, we're trying to stay creative. Rich and I were talking yesterday, and I said and we were talking about, well, what are we going to do with this? And I said, well, there's 2 things I want to get out of it, or that I'd like to see from it. One is I'd like to see actors still acting, to some degree. And I said the other thing is um, to put a smile on somebody's face because they watched it and they enjoyed it. I said they're the only 2 things that I want to get out of it. I'm not looking for any credits. I'm not looking for anything. I mean, great, we'll get credits and all that stuff for it, but that's not what my goal from doing it was. So we talked yesterday and we decided, and we came up with another 5 actors and actresses that are working with us today, and we'll see how it goes. So it's something that, well, we're not generating income. We are generating a little bit of positivity out there, and that's really what we're trying to do.
And people need it right now. I know
Hmm.
that a lot of people are under stress. I've been reading that, and uh, you know, my understanding of it is that people really feel that need for calm right now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so when they can laugh, when they can bring some humor into it, it helps to make things lighter during a stressful time where the kids are home from school and people are all working from home, and maybe they're having their food delivered instead of getting out to the store, and now we all have to wear masks. So who would have guessed, right? I mean, who would have
Yeah.
guessed?
Yeah,
But
certainly in our lifetimes, you would never imagine anything like this happening. And I think one of the greatest things about this is that, as you said, Mike, the technology is there to spread the positivity. And that's exactly what Ann and I love to do here. Is just be a positive escape for people. I mean, this is an escape for me. I mean, like, being able to talk on the radio for an hour, and inspire people. Man, it's an escape for just me to be able to get away from the the busyness of working at home all day. I
Sure.
mean, yeah, this is considered work for me, I guess, but I mean, it's wonderful work, and it's the same thing for you too, probably. When you're out there acting on Zoom or acting on Instagram, man, you're feeling alive. You feel totally, the person who you were created to be, right? Just that, making a difference in the world and helping other people. And so there's so many different forms of entertainment out there, right? There's so many different ways we can spend our time ordinarily that have been stripped away from us, and we're now confined to being entertained by either books or digital media or these Netflix series or whatever is out there. And so um, just your perspective, Mike, on how that is spreading hope to people. I mean, it really is. It's spreading hope to people just by what you're doing. So thank you for sharing that. It's a
Yep.
great way to do it. And to people follow you on your social media stuff. Follow Mike, because I mean, he's out there doing good stuff.
that's right. I would agree with that completely. So people are listening. He's Mike Provenzano, Provenzao, right? No, no.
Zano.
I
You're
forgot
close.
the
Mhm.
I should have spelled that correctly. Mike Provenzano on social media. And I know, Mike, tell them where they can find you, because I know you're on Facebook. Anywhere
Oh,
else?
yeah. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the normal ones. And I tried to make it simple, where you can find me. Just type in Mike A. Provenzano on any of them, and that's how you'll find me. Learned long ago that if you're going to do this, or not long ago actually, but recently,
Not that
that
long ago, right?
keep all your usernames the same. It makes it so much easier for somebody to find you if they're looking for you.
Yes. And I know you have a website too. Can you tell us
Oh,
about your
oh yeah, I
website?
forgot. I have one of those, don't I? Yeah, that one is not a little different. I made it a little bit easier. That one's just mikeprov.com. So www.mikeprov.com. Try to keep that one simple because my last name is a little bit longer than people would like to type.
And I even spelled it incorrectly. So shame on me.
That's okay.
Now, another thing, Mike, I thought I'd bring up, and I know nothing is in stone, but Mike and I were talking about doing something with some other people who are doing great things, actors, people who are in the nonprofit world, of doing maybe something online having to do with positivity and inspiration. So nothing's in the works, right, Mike? But I know that we've been kind of talking about that idea and see where that goes in the coming months. That maybe we can do something like this.
And for we were supposed to do something last year and it didn't work out, and now we have something scheduled for later in the year. But and Ann and I were talking. We said, well, why don't we do something now? I mean, people need inspiration right now. People need joy in their lives right now. They need all of us need it. And if we have a story, if we have a platform to help others, then what are we waiting for? And just I'm just talking out loud here, but why wait months when this pandemic's now? So as Rich and I were talking yesterday, hey, let's do this, and Rich was like, all right, cool. Why don't we do it today? And I'm like, well, I think trying to do something today is let's put a little thought to it. So that was yesterday, but today at 11 o'clock we're starting.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll put a challenge back out to you, Ann, of let's get this done before this pandemic ends. I mean, people need inspiration now, and I think not only will and I'll be greedy here for a minute, but I will be inspired by the other people that are involved with this. But I also think that will inspire some other people. And even me, that I enjoy helping people in any way that I can, and I try to connect people to other people in any fashion I can, and especially in the industry, I've helped a lot of people with. Hey, do you need an agent? Do you need advice? Do you need this, that? And that's just too, I enjoy doing that. And I really feel that we owe it to others to share our stories, our faith, our inspiration now, not later. So why don't we get this done before May 1st?
Well, it's Holy Week. We lift up a prayer. Lord, hear this prayer. Help us to do this, right? I mean, I really do want to do something like this, Mike. So let's talk.
Okay. I mean, the
Let's
technology's
lift it up,
here,
right?
right?
Yeah.
The technology's here. It's not, we don't have to worry about a stage. We don't have to worry about
Hmm.
finding a location and all that stuff. We have a platform that we're on right now that we're using to communicate. Let's use it.
Yeah. And your story is awesome. It's a story of hope. It's a story of perseverance. And some of the other friends that you and I both have who we've met and discussed this idea with before have wonderful stories as well. So
Mhm.
if any of them are listening, let's talk soon. So, and Bill, lift up a prayer for us with
Yeah,
this.
yeah, absolutely. Lord, we just ask you to lift up both Mike and Ann and all actors and actresses who are out there looking for inspiration to provide to others. Lord, we inspire others through your word and through your action working in us. And so, Lord, just give Mike and Ann and all these actors and actresses great confidence in you that you can uplift souls, that you can help those in need of an escape, to tune in, to laugh, to cry, to just be um, just be inspired and connect with you ultimately. Through their work, connect with you. Um, and Lord, we just ask you to give them what they need. We ask you to clear all the roadblocks out, any roadblocks that might be there financially, or that might be there in technical issues, or whatever might be there, attendance issues, whatever they might be, Lord. We just ask you to just clear the road through the intercession of your Blessed Mother. We lift up all of these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Bill, thank you.
Of course.
Amen.
Always good to get a prayer,
It is.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It sure is.
Yeah, on that vein, we should probably mention, just take a quick little detour. About halfway through our show here, we should take a little detour and mention that on this Thursday's program at night, we're going to be doing prayers just like that for anybody who emails us, right? So if you email us at sewinghope at patchworkheart.org, SEWING, hope at patchworkheart.org with your prayer request. We will pray for you out loud. You can just leave your name or whatever, and first name or whatever. You don't have to. It can be totally anonymous if you'd like. But go ahead and just email us your prayer requests. I know that both Ann and I have a ton of prayer, just prayer, in our minds of people that we're praying for. And of course, we're going to pray for them, but please email us. We'd love to we're going to spend Holy Thursday the best way we can, we believe, and that's just in prayer for the world. So, we're just and for you and your needs. So go ahead and email us at SEWING hope at patchworkheart.org.
Bill, that was great that you mentioned that. And Bill, I don't know if I texted this to you or not, but we'll have a special guest for the first half of the program. Would be Father Ken Breen. He's a Mercedarian priest and friar for the foundation, through the foundation that I work with, the Mercedarian Religious Order.
Cool.
He'll be joining us from 6 to 6:30, giving us the blessing and also listening to these prayer requests. And it's always great to have a priest online when you're doing some prayer. So
it is. That'll be great to have him.
So I just want to mention that little shout out for people to listen in, because it is Holy Thursday, right? I mean, a great time to pray.
Yes, it is.
So Mike, going back to your own story and the things that are happening in your life, and even right now with the pandemic, wondered if there's anything coming up later on that even after this pandemic, other jobs or auditions or things that might be happening later this year.
Sure. Well, obviously timing is going to be, I guess, who knows what the timing is going to be for some of the stuff, but I do have a couple projects that I am confirmed for currently. One is called No Way Out, and they're both horror films, believe it or not. No Way Out, I play I don't know if my role changed. I'm either playing a doctor or the president. I'm really not sure, but we haven't really got into it. We were supposed to start in June this year, but I think it might get pushed back a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then there's another one called Luna, which is tentatively scheduled for October, which I have a lead role where it's another horror, but I transform from myself to a vampire. I play the Dark Lord, which should be a pretty interesting character for me to play. And so those two right now are going to be fun. And so they're the ones that are confirmed. But, as a commercial actor, your jobs come quickly. I'll put it that way. Or your auditions come quickly. I did a commercial for Ferguson. I'll give them a little plug. That I did back in the end of February, and thankfully we were able to get it done before the pandemic started. And it was supposed to be released tomorrow or yesterday, but they postponed it to about a month or two based on they are a retail wholesale place that sells appliances for kitchens, bathrooms. They do like chandeliers, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And they've got some really high-end products, but so the cool thing is that one is finished. It's just not going to come out for a while. So but it's something that's coming. I auditioned for a lead role to play a sleep doctor last week through one of my agents. It was a self tape, so cross my fingers. That's another one that shoots in October. But those are you don't know until you hear. So that's the tough part about this industry is that there's a lot of uncertainty. But
Yes.
but the one thing that I can say is that um, it's things have always worked out. There's always there's a divine being up there that's looking down, saying this is going to work one way or the other, and it always seems to work out.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned that too. I think, it is the one thing that's different about the acting world, especially when you're doing all these auditions and things like that, is you don't always it's every job's different, right, Mike? I mean, sometimes you find out right away, sometimes they make you wait a little bit. And then the time that you wait to see it come out, sometimes you see things come out within a few weeks, and sometimes you can wait a year
There,
until some
you're
things come out.
you're right.
Do you agree?
Absolutely there. I wouldn't say there's no standard to it because there's reasoning behind why something will come out quickly, and there's reasons behind why things don't come out quickly. And when you're doing the smaller films or the short films, sometimes that can just be based on budget. And there's a lot of work goes into a film, and I could never do it. I don't think I could ever like run something from start to finish, at least not yet, not now. But there is a ton that goes into it. I mean, you have to, trying to edit a bunch of footage. I would never want to be an editor. And then somebody has to review it and say, nope, let's take that scene and make it this, and let's do there's a ton to it that I don't even know about, but I can surmise based on being in the industry for a while. So there's, some things come out really quick. Like the infomercial I did 2 weeks ago for surgical masks. I haven't seen it yet, but I bet you it's out because of
Oh, yeah.
of
I guess
what it
that
is.
one is.
Oh yeah.
I bet money on that one.
Yes,
Um,
me too.
and some of the things that I've done, some of the shorts I've done, I've got a friend Joe who is a director and a writer and a producer, and he does the whole thing. But when he does them, he turns it around, and within 2 weeks, he usually has a short film edited with music completed, and he's got it out there, and he's pushing. No, I forgot that. Man, I better give him a plug. We have another one we're working on together. Um, where it's a feature film, and we did the trailer for it in February or January, and we had to put it on hold for financial reasons. And because it's a feature, it takes a lot to put a feature together, no matter the size of it or the scope of it. Sometimes there's features that are out there with large budgets, and other ones that you're trying to make something that you don't have a budget for. So but he is a tenacious guy. He's going to get it done, and I guarantee by the end of the year that film is done and out. But it just takes time to do some of that stuff. But it's, I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it. I love what I'm doing, and I'm just, like I said before, I feel blessed that I get to do it. I don't look at it as work, and I'm having fun.
It's creative for you. I know. And when you talked at the beginning of the program that you were originally in the corporate world, so it's so different getting up that 9 to 5. I know that you still work a 9 to 5, even if it's continuing to apply for jobs and practice and do things like your Zoom calls. You're still working a regular job, although I know that it's, you can work at night too when you're an actor, right? I mean, it's not just daytime work all the time.
Yep.
But you continue to keep yourself busy with continuing to do jobs and get your name out there and keep applying. I hope that dream comes true for the Hallmark Channel. I think that would be perfect for you. I really do. I see you as that dad, the dad or the husband kind of thing.
Yep, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, that's one of my goals, and I'm not gonna stop pushing for that. And it's the one thing I think back in my corporate days, I used to have a slogan at the end of all my emails that said "Make it happen," and I'm gonna make it happen. I'm competing against thousands of people. There's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, I'm really focused on my film and TV work, and I've done a decent amount of commercial work and print work and all that stuff. But I've done a handful of shorts already. This year, I've already got a couple more that I'm slated for, and I'm just, I'm auditing a a class on Thursday that I may join, an acting class on Thursday that I may join, just to continue to hone my skills. And I'm not going to stop until I get that role. It's not an if to me, it's a when, and that's how
Yeah.
I look at it. It's not something that may happen; it's something that's going to happen, and it's just a matter of when and where.
Well, I bet when we come back, maybe if you come back to the show in another
Yeah.
year, we'll see a lot of changes, Mike. I
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I
ex-
mean, it's so cool, right?
it really is. Yeah. I mean, how God has intervened and helping him to be in this career that's creative, and he's using his skills. And so I think that's just amazing. Mike, do you have any advice for somebody who might be listening and thinking, I've never done anything with acting or modeling. How do I get involved? Can you give them a few tips?
Absolutely. We were actually talking about this on a call yesterday, and there were people on a Zoom call that we were doing that Rich actually hosts. And if you're going to start in the industry, you have to take it seriously for starters. Don't take a selfie and then think that's a good headshot. It doesn't work that way. I don't. It just doesn't. When if you want to get started, you have to show that you're really interested in this industry, and a professional headshot is where you start. Um, you have to have that, and if you've never done it before, um, I would recommend attending some online or some classes. Right now is a great time to do some online stuff. You may not get the exact same experience if you went to a class face to face and all that stuff, but that's how you start. But you can't, don't rely on an agent to um, build a career for you. Agents get paid a percentage, and that's the, so they're not, they have a lot of clients that they work with. So if they're going to work with you, that's great. However, to get them to work with you, they need to see something in you that inspires them to want to represent you. And if you're not professional in some fashion, they're not going to say yes to you. When they see that you are, then it's a different story. So um, start off by investing in yourself, and that means going out and getting a few professional headshots. Understand, and this is hard at the beginning. Understand what your type is if you're going to be an actor. Um, Also, do some short films that don't pay any money to get your experience. Do some background work on some bigger shows, or submit yourself for that, because that gives you real life set experience. You get to see what people go through, because all the shows, films, TV shows that we watch, there's a ton of people involved with those. And it's not just about the lead actors. It's not just about the background actors. It's not just about the crew and all that. It's about everyone that's involved that really makes a show happen. So if you want to be part of the business, you need to treat it like a business, and take action, um, and join some of the websites that have the postings that are out there. Um, but also do what I did. Set some goals for yourself, and when you start, you don't have to have a pie in the sky goal of being a principal on the Hallmark Channel, because you don't know what you want to do when you start. Um, but start with an attitude of, this is something I want to try, and enjoy yourself. Remember, it's a journey. There's no destination in this. There's no end result. To me, the Hallmark Channel, if I am blessed to do that one day, I'm not done. That's a goal. And when I achieve that goal, um, I'm going to continue to set newer goals, and I already am setting other goals, but not any goals that I'd like to share here yet, because
Yes.
they're still being created or formed. And you have to remember to continue to do that. Continue to submit for opportunities every day. You have to log into your websites that you're part of and look. I mean, granted, right now there's not a lot of jobs out there, but what is out there right now are opportunities to do online projects. There's a lot of that going on right now. And I've submitted, I still go onto the sites, every day. I don't go on as often as I used to, but I go on every day and I see if there's anything new. If you're an actor that's doing this, don't just limit what you review to your area. And this is something I've started doing over the last 2 weeks. I'm not limiting myself to looking at New York opportunities or Pennsylvania opportunities or New Jersey opportunities anymore. I'm looking at, and I've always looked at LA opportunities and Florida opportunities in Atlanta. I look at all of them now. And the reason I look at all of them is because everyone is posting online work. And if you can, you're not limited to your location anymore, at least right now for online work. So if you're looking to do something online, look at all the locations, and that's for everybody. Maybe I'm telling people to compete with me right now, but that's okay.
No, you're absolutely right, because I get a lot of those emails. And what Mike is referring to, I'm just going to mention some of them. So if somebody's listening and you want to find out about what he's referring to with these postings, one of them is called Casting Networks. So I think that the website might be something like castingnetworks.com.
Mhm.
And then there's Actors Access. There's another one, backstage.com. And if you live in the greater Philadelphia area where we live, where Mike and I live, there's also MikeLemonCasting.com. And that's in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, which they get a lot of jobs that are local to the, tri-state area here, Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia, and also Delaware. So they're just a few. And another one is New York Castings. I'm a member of that one as well. And I think it's like nycastings.com.
Yep. And if I were starting, and I would start with Backstage. Backstage
Yes, they're excellent.
has a lot of opportunities. If you want to do background work, try Casting Networks, because there's a ton of background work that pops up there every day. And once everything opens back up again, there's probably at least 50 projects, if not 100 projects per day that show up for background work. But Backstage offers a lot of variety. There's short film, there's commercial, there's infomercial, there's voiceover, there's film and TV. There's so many different opportunities out there for someone that wants to get started. And Backstage was the first one I started with, and I still use it today, and I don't think I'll ever stop using it. There's just opportunities out there that make sense. And if you really want to get into this, check it out.
Yeah, and they have an awesome website too. I think it's easy to upload things on there. Easy to upload your new videos or your new photos. So I would also definitely recommend Backstage. And just one more thing, Mike, you were mentioning the background work with the TV shows. If you become a member of something called Central Casting in New York, and I know Central Casting is also located in different parts of the United States, you can become a background actor for some of the shows. I am a member of Central Casting. I'll admit I haven't done anything with it in a while, but I have been able to get on to shows such as Blue Bloods and oh my goodness, what's the other one? The Law Show. What is that one?
Law and
Law and
Order.
Order.
Law and Order. Why did I forget that? Yeah. So I mean, I've been on both of those as background actor, and it's interesting. The pay isn't super high or anything like that, but it's a great opportunity to become a background actor on different television programs.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a good recommendation. The only thing you do have to do if you join Central Casting is you do have to go up to New York and have your photo taken and fill out some paperwork. So you can't do that all online. At least I don't think so. To become a member of Central Casting, you have to go up to New York for the day.
Yes.
It's no big deal.
And that one, I never joined it. When I first got into it, I did some background work just from casting networks or backstage,
Hmm.
and but I didn't want to. My goal was not to be a background actor,
Right,
so I
right,
didn't feel
exactly.
the need to invest in that specific one. But you're right. If people want to get started, that's a great place to start. There's no doubt about it. But I did look at it, and I know about them, and they do a lot
Yeah.
of the TV shows that are out there, and the tri-state area, there's a ton of TV
Oh,
shows
yes.
that get produced here in this area.
That's right, right. Mike, you've been such an awesome guest. I'm already looking at the clock and I can't believe it's already almost 10.
I know, right?
Wow.
Our friend Bill might want to have a few words there.
No, no, I just think it's a great conversation, and you guys have had just a really hope-filled, inspired conversation, and I've been glad to be a part of it. And I think that you've got a great outlook on life, Mike, and I know you just helped a ton of people that are listening to this. Just through your advice and giving young people, giving all people who want to get started in acting and tell other people's stories, to take a look and figure out how to get started, and that's providing a lot of hope to a lot of people out there. So I really appreciate your time and your dedication to the industry, because it's doing exactly what the title of our show says, to provide people hope. And in the midst of unprecedented time in our most recent history in the world, this is great to have you as a guest, and certainly wish you the best of luck. The one question I'd love to ask you in the last 4 minutes of the program is, you said you were playing a couple of darker or evil characters, and vampires and such. So I just wonder your take on that. To give us a short take, as we're kind of wrapping up the show, on what it's like to portray something like that. And how do you do that?
Well, the cool thing is you have to remember I'm acting, and it's
Yeah.
not me, right? So I look at it from a standpoint of I get to stretch myself as an actor to do something I've never done before. And I did a short horror last year, and the cool thing about it was that I was a really mean dad, and a drunk and all that stuff. And the best part though was that even the kid that I worked with was awesome to work with, but everything was safe. There was no issues whatsoever. Any of the time that I had some uh, dark dialogue, he wasn't even around, which was really cool. That they think of everything when it comes to each actor's um, interaction.
Mm.
So these coming up, they're gonna. I look at it, to me, I love doing what I do, so I just look at it as fun and another way for me to stretch my skill set and what I'm capable of, and that just makes me a little bit more marketable.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for your time here today. This has been a total blast. We'll have you back for sure, especially
Thank you.
after you make your big make your
Mhm.
big Hallmark debut. We'll have you
Yeah,
back
yeah.
for
I can't
sure.
wait for that one.
Mhm. Me
But
too. If I could, I'm
yeah,
gonna
go
throw
ahead.
something out.
Yeah, do
I'm
it.
gonna throw one thing out here real quick. Because I have a goal setting background, and I'm looking to help others. I've kind of spoke with somebody already this week about possibly doing this. I'm gonna throw it out there that for 10 people that are interested in setting goals for themselves, I will put together a program for the next 30, or let's say 60 days, where I teach you how to set goals for yourself, and I'll walk you through that process. So just go to my website, you can find a contact me page within it. And like I said, the first 10 people that are interested in something, we'll work something out together.
Very
Oh,
cool.
that's awesome,
That's
Mike.
very cool.
That's a good invitation. Somebody listening out there.
Mm.
Yes, and just connect with you through your website or email. Why don't you give that to us one more time here as we kind of wrap things up?
So my website is www.mikeprov.com, and that's Mike P as in Paul, ROV as in Victor.com. My last page I think on my website has a contact me page. So click on that and it'll send an email to me that you're interested.
Very cool. And Mike, thank you so very much for being with us today on Sowing Hope. It's been an awesome time talking with you. And for our listeners, just want to remind them real quickly as we're wrapping things up here today on today's show that join us on Thursday, and please submit your prayer requests to us because Ann and I are going to be spending the hour on Holy Thursday evening, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, to pray for you. So all we're going to do is pray for you that hour, and any prayer requests anonymous, or you'd like to put your first name or whatever to it. We'd love to have your prayer requests. All you got to do is head over to SEWING hope@patchworkheart.org. Just submit an email to sowinghope SEWING hope@patchworkheart.org. And thank you. It's been an awesome pleasure to have you, as always, as my co-host. It's so much fun.
It really is, Bill. Thank you. And Mike, thank you so much too.
Well,
This
thank
has
you
been
guys very
wonderful. And I want to wish everyone, all of Mike's friends, our friends, people who are new to this show and listening, have a happy Holy Week, and most especially a blessed Easter, because even though we won't be able to make it to church, we are still together in prayer.
Amen.
And God is with us.
Amen. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Amen.
Mike.
Until next time, keep sowing hope into broken hearts. Thanks for listening to this episode of Sowing Hope on Patchwork Heart Radio. For more information about this podcast and our ministries, visit our websites, patchworkheart.org and andesantis.com. You can also follow and interact with us on Twitter at PWH Ministry or Andy Santis 2.